welcome to 70 Years, 70 Muppets, a Muppet fan podcast presented by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we celebrate the Muppets' 70th anniversary with 70 straight weeks of spotlights on our favorite Muppet characters from the most popular to the most obscure. I am one of this week's hosts, Matthew Gaydos, from the podcast Kermitment.
And I'm Sam Schultz, the other host of Kermitment.
And this week, the Muppet of the Week is Crazy Harry. Crazy Harry has been performed by a handful of people, kicking off with John Lovelady in 1974, Richard Hunt in 1975, back to John Lovelady for 1976 and 1977, over to his main performer, Jerry Nelson, in 1977, who would be his main performer until 2003. But there was a one-off Richard Hunt performance of Crazy Harry on CBS Sunday Morning in 1981. Ricky Boyd performed him a couple times, once in 1988, and also in 2005 for The Muppets Wizard of Oz. And as of 2008, Matt Vogel is Crazy Harry's current performer. And as I mentioned, Crazy Harry made his explosive world debut way back in 1974 in The Muppets Valentine Show with a completely different, practically unrecognizable name of Crazy Donald. Sam, what are the first two words that come to mind when I say the words Crazy Harry?
The first words that come to mind
What do you got?
when you say Crazy Harry are forgotten, perhaps, faded.
Ooh.
He seemed like somebody who, I think in the early days of the Muppets, when things were exploding more often, I feel like you saw a lot of Crazy Harry. You saw a lot of him in the Muppet Show. You could show a picture of him to most people. I don't think they'd know his name, but I think they would say, that's the guy who blows stuff up on the Muppet Show. But like words, I would say yes. Ultimately unimportant is a big one.
Coming out the gate hot with unimportant Crazy Harry.
He falls into the same bucket as your New Zealand's, where it's like, this guy's annoying. I only want to take so much of this guy.
And they also have one joke. Like,
yes, one
New
joke.
Zealand's thing is he's going to throw the boomerang fish, and guess what? It's coming back.
Yeah.
Crazy Harry, someone's going to say something about an explosive word, and he's going to run in and blow something up.
Really, yeah. In universe, probably one of the most annoying guys to have around, too. Because he's like, you got to watch what you say, or else you're going to get exploded. I'm so interested to know why they thought Crazy Donald was a good name for him. Like, Donald is not a crazy name.
I believe Muppet Wiki says it was a reference to Don Saleen, who was obviously there in the early days of the Muppets and responsible for creating a lot of their special effects, including their fake explosions and stuff they would have on set. But yes, Crazy Harry was our Muppet of the Week on our podcast on Kermitment back in episode 32 in November of 2021. So it's been a while since I've had to reckon with Crazy Harry, that I've had to think about him too hard. And back then we were a little harsh. Maybe we called him one note. We said I think you said he feels like he was maybe meant for greater things, but just maybe never reached those heights.
Yeah. One thing I do like about him is this thing where he's like has a job on the show. And for some reason I respond well to like the costume woman, Zelda.
Hilda.
Was that her name? Hilda, Zelda. They were both the aunts of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, so I get a bit confused. I like the idea of him having a job and being like a behind-the-scenes guy on the show. Yeah,
they sort of give characters jobs throughout the Muppet Show, but only sometimes do they sort of limit a character to just that. Like you have like a Gladys, or you have like a Hilda, and it's like, okay, their role pretty much on the show is the job they have on the Muppet Show.
A behind-the-scenes person, yeah.
Right. And, when they step out from behind that, maybe that's a special moment. Crazy Harry just feels like he's always on call to be the pyrotechnic expert for the Muppet Show. But also, when you're watching like a Michael Bay movie, the guy who's setting off all the explosions doesn't run into the scene and go, boom, baby.
But maybe he should. Yeah, he does. He's not good at his job, I suppose, in that aspect. He's horrible at it. But they're like, oh, we got this building rigged to explode. We only have one shot at this. But also, we know that Crazy Harry is going to run in and say, did somebody say explode? He also actually won't do it until we say explosion in casual conversation. He will not take our cue. He will not explode it when we say, okay, Crazy Harry, now. We'll have to be like, wow, that our we really made a big bang with our show, and then he'll have to say somebody say big bang. That's the scariest thing you've ever done in your life.
I hit a secret sound effect button in our recording system just to wait for the moment Sam set me up.
That's why your face looked so suspicious the whole time I was talking.
Yeah. I was just waiting. I was like, when's he going to stop? When's he going to say bomb? When's he going to say something? I can hit this button. It's going to be great.
You're a madman. But he also, I think one thing that really sticks out to me is that outsized role he has, to my mind, in the Muppet movie, where he is a huge part of the finale of the movie. He blows the hole in the roof that lets the rainbow come through. He says Crazy Harry plays with the electricity, which is also like a part that stuck in my brain because I've seen that so much. So maybe to most people he would actually be like one of the gang because he's such a part of that.
But I think you're right in that they don't know his name. Like,
yeah.
You know, you have people who are like, oh, the two old guys from the Muppet Show. Like, they already don't know Statler and Waldorf's names.
Right.
So I don't think those people then do know Crazy Harry.
Ah, that's Crazy Harry. Yes. They know Beaker. They know Kermit. They know Animal.
They might even say the dog from the Muppets. They may not even know Rolf.
That's quite an insult to the dog.
But Crazy Harry predates a lot of famous Muppets, having shown up in the Muppet Valentine Show, whereas a lot of Muppets debut in things like Sex and Violence or the Muppet Show. And he's been around now for 50 years.
Wow.
Crazy Harry has. Most recently, he has been on The Masked Singer in October of 2022.
Oh, yeah. I watched that clip and I actually thought it was pretty good. I was like watching through that episode, and that episode of The Masked Singer seemed really fun in a way that, like, when Holy Moly had the Muppets on, that they weren't as fun. But this Masked Singer really leaned into the Muppet thing.
It leaned into the Muppets. It let them be on set, which I think is important that the Holy Moly didn't really do. And not to drag Holy Moly into this too much, but Holy Moly just felt like they kept building up to something that was going to be big, spectacular, and Muppety, and then didn't deliver on it.
Whereas, for those of you who don't know, Holy Moly was a miniature golf reality show.
I think people who are listening to the toughpigs.com podcasts know about the Muppets on Holy Moly.
They were as equally as disappointed by Holy Moly as we were.
I'm not going to speak for everyone listening, but I do think The Masked Singer, a show that normally I don't watch, that is an episode that I did watch and enjoyed quite thoroughly because they do incorporate the Muppets really well.
Yeah.
He was only Crazy Donald for the one appearance in the Muppets Valentine Show, where it's delightful. He gets yelled at by George the janitor a bunch throughout that.
That makes
and that's
sense.
how
his natural enemy would be the guy who's cleaning stuff up all the time.
Yes. But he's just constantly like, Crazy Donald, how dare you?
I have no memory of that.
I just rewatched some clips from it to remember because it has been so long since we watched that special. But
there was a time in our lives when George the janitor was really like a focal character.
It was nice rewatching Muppet Christmas Carol this year and seeing his face pop up at one point, just being like, hello, George. I think this might be your last appearance.
Oh, no. He'll be back. Someday he'll be hot again.
Maybe he'll get a Muppet of the Week podcast devoted to him.
He probably, maybe he will.
Well, I think a lot of people's biggest standout moment for Crazy Harry is the Jean Stapleton episode of The Muppet Show, episode 306, when she explains that Crazy Harry is her favorite Muppet and that she wants to do a big closing number with him. And in one of the biggest, I think, performances we see on that show, Crazy Harry plays the explodophone, which seems to be some sort of organ that's wired to the entire set that makes different parts of it explode as Jean Stapleton sings, I'm Just Wild About Harry. Yeah,
I remember really enjoying that. And I think I also remember wondering if they told Jean Stapleton she had to say Crazy Harry was her favorite Muppet, or if it was actually her favorite Muppet. And then they were like, okay, because this is a great idea.
I hope it's the latter, because we've heard so many stories about celebrities coming in and being like, I have to perform with Miss Piggy. I love Miss Piggy so much. And so I hope Jean Stapleton came in with, if there's one Muppet I get to interact with, it better be Crazy Harry.
Like, What? Are you okay?
Like, did you mean to say Miss Piggy?
Even Jerry Nelson is like, surely not.
I didn't even bring that puppet out of the box this week. I didn't think we needed him. But speaking of his puppet, something we had a problem with the first time we discussed Crazy Harry on our podcast is that this man has a full set of human teeth.
Yeah, we tend to not like human teeth on a Muppet.
Well, and even when they have teeth, usually it's just the top.
He's got both top and bottom? Oh, he does. He does. It's not challenging to me in the way that it used to be, I think.
I think he looks human enough that it's not like when you give Kermit teeth and you're like, hey, I don't like that.
I think
like, this is a man with teeth.
I think he needs it and he wouldn't look good without it.
Well, I also wanted to bring up that according to the Muppets Character Encyclopedia, which is a great resource for learning more about Muppets and what Craig Shemin
like to make up about them.
Well, yeah, he had some creative license to have some fun. But Harry received his training at the Buckholz School of Pyrotechnics and Cheesemaking with a major in explosions and a minor in brie.
Okay.
Also, it says his detonator was a gift from his mom for his 6th birthday.
That's beautiful.
And the mean kids on the playground came up with his first nickname, Crazy Donald. But it was so offensive that he changed it to Crazy Harry.
I see. A little reference for all of us Muppet heads.
And a couple other fun facts from Muppet Wiki here about Crazy Harry. When reruns of The Muppet Show were shown on TNT, a Crazy Harry doll was planned as a gift for employees at the network. But only the head, sans eyes, was produced.
I would say most people at TNT would say, who is this?
But he's the TNT guy, Sam.
I get why they did it, but I think if I got the doll, I would say, okay.
Thanks for this weird-looking dude.
Thanks for this weird guy. Yeah.
His teeth are creepy.
I do like him in like his design is cool. He looks like one of those like Ratfink characters who's like driving the car with the big, you know what I'm talking about? Like it's like a t-shirt of like a guy driving a car with they're coming out the top of it.
Sam, I want it and you should draw it. I want Crazy Harry as Ratfink driving like a TNT box shaped car. I'm not really sure what that looks like, but Sam will draw it.
I can figure it out. Yeah. This looks like an intricate doll that it's on Muppet Wiki. They have the prototype. It looks just like him. They were really going nuts with it.
Yeah, the head alone was 7 inches long. So the whole plush was going to be a 15-inch tall Crazy Harry. Well, the last less fun fact I would say about Crazy Harry that we got from Muppet Wiki is sort of a like one person's take on Crazy Harry, I'd say. They have a quote from Jim Lewis, writer for the Muppets, who was asked about sort of the lack of Crazy Harry appearances throughout the 2000s. And, there's reasons, like he says, Jerry Nelson performs Crazy Harry and his availability is a factor. Also, Crazy Harry is always a punctuation, so the scene has to fit his personality. And thirdly, as in Jim Lewis's words, he said, unofficially, I find that in a post-9/11 world, blowing stuff up, even in foolish fun, isn't as funny as it once was.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't doubt that is Jim Lewis's feelings on the situation.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I will say Crazy Harry had been around, in 2005, he was around in the same era that Jim Lewis was answering this question.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of Muppets were being used infrequently. I think this is maybe why Jim Lewis wouldn't write Crazy Harry into something at this point.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff getting blown up in the rest of the time that he existed.
Right. Yeah. I think it does show, a little bit of an American-minded perspective on the world to say that was the first thing that made you think that maybe explosions weren't funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
But I think, I don't mind Crazy Harry popping up from time to time, especially being a 50-year-old character and standing the test of time. But I also, I was going to say it'd be hard to give him a deep backstory that could maybe be interesting, but they did it with Uncle Deadly on the 2015 series.
Yeah, they made me really care about Dr. Teeth also in the new Muppet.
Right.
In the new Electric Mayhem show.
So really, this is a challenge that we are issuing to any Muppet writers or future Muppet writers who might be listening. Write a deep backstory for Crazy Harry.
The next Disney Plus series, the flashback, the equivalent of Baby Animal and Floyd growing up together is the Crazy Harry origin story that makes you shed a single tear for him. And I think it could be done. So every week on our show Kermitment, not every week, but a lot of weeks, we'll I haven't done it in a couple of years, but we'll rate them up.
All right. Come on. I know I've been slacking.
No, it's not your fault. It's just that we haven't met a lot of new Muppets lately. We will rate a Muppet 1 to 10, and I rated him a 2, but I feel like that's too cruel. Maybe I just have met more Muppets at this point, but I can't go back and change the past, but I maybe want to apologize to Crazy Harry for only giving him a 2.
We were young, naive Muppet podcasters back then, 3.5 years ago.
Matt, you didn't say what word comes to mind when you think of Crazy Harry.
Ooh, I would say destructive.
Oh, okay. You're going more straightforward. I said ultimately unimportant. You say destructive.
I just remember there's one sketch on the Muppet Show. I don't remember what it is exactly, but there's like fancy ladies dancing in like a ballroom, and he shows up and just destroys the entire ballroom. And that's like my image in my head is him just destroying sets and like the budget that must have been set aside when Crazy Harry was in a scene.
Right. That maybe would also be like when Gene Stapleton says, I have to do Crazy Harry. They were like, oh, we can't afford Crazy Harry this week. Please don't say Crazy Harry.
Gene, we can't pay you if we're going to pay for Crazy Harry this week.
It's worth it.
But if you'd like to hear more of our strong, sometimes negative opinions about individual Muppets, you're trying to cover, but, think back.
Sometimes they're a little too positive, too.
Well, if you'd like to hear more of us, you can do so on the Kermitment podcast. Anywhere podcasts are, just search Kermitment. And as we always say at the end of our episodes, keep believing.
Keep pretending. I hate you. See, it would be horrible to have him around. It's so scary.
70 Years, 70 Muppets is a Muppet fan podcast presented by toughpigs.com. Hosted by a whole myriad of people and edited by them as well. Produced by Jared Fairclough. The Muppet 70 logo used with permission by the Muppet Studio with thanks to Danny Iglesias, Frank Reif Snyder and Lee Slaughter. Don't forget to follow toughpigs.com on all social media platforms. You can support us by heading to patreon.com/toughpigs or buying a t-shirt at tpublic.com/toughpigs.